Listen, I've got more bits than the Irritable Bastard bit. But it just seems like today is one of those days where it's getting worse and worse. Today it might be all Irritable Bastard stuff. All right, now listen, I live in the desert, in the middle of the desert, and yet the weather channels, including the National Weather Service and the local meteorologists around here, insist on giving us excessive heat warnings. We live in the desert. What is excessive? When you have 110 to 112 degrees every day, what can be more excessive than that? 116, 117? No, that's not excessive. We don't need warnings every single day about excessive heat. We've been living with excessive heat for centuries. The Tohono Indians lived and thrived in excessive heat. You don't have to tell us there's an excessive heat warning. We know. I got out of the hospital the other day like I always do. One day this will all end and you won't have to hear it anymore. I got out of the hospital and I got in the elevator with a girl and she was escorting me out. I was leaving. And I always do this because I'm stupid. I just love going up to people and saying, hot enough for you? And I looked at her with a deadpan straight face. Hot enough for you? And she looked at me and went, are you from around here? Yeah. Look, this is nothing to the people that have grown up around here. You get used to it. And if you're on this planet and you're working your way down there, don't you worry about it. It's not that bad because the fires of hell seem like air conditioning compared to a July in the Arizona desert. Take a look at this photo, would you? I took this the other day coming out of a doctor's office. And the culprit here is the guy in the red shirt. Okay, he is some 8 feet behind the woman in line. Why are you waiting so far back from that woman in line? And the woman behind him is not doing that great either. And there's a guy sitting there, and believe it or not, that guy in the gray hat, he's right at the door. That door is open. The air conditioning is blowing out of the place. Dust is coming in because of the dirt devils we have here all over the place, all the time, every day. There are people out in the sidewalk, some of them possibly falling off into the 185-degree asphalt of the parking lot. Because this guy has to stand 10 feet behind the... Drives me insane. Move up. So yesterday I had occasion to drive into Phoenix and a cricket match broke out. You have no idea. You can drive throughout the town of Phoenix and you can see cricket matches everywhere. And it's always the Indian guys playing cricket. Right? And they have these organized leagues and they play in the big parks out here because they have 1 billion parks out here. It's one of the great things about living out here. Parks everywhere, great parks. And a cricket match broke out. And every time I see one, I stop and I pull in and I go to watch. And I watch and I watch and I watch and I don't get it. And it's terrible when they don't have uniforms. Sometimes they don't. I can't figure it out. And I ask people beside me about the rules and they explain to me and I can't understand what the hell they're saying. So here's a quick poll. Which of these historic age-old concepts is the most difficult to comprehend? A, E equals MC squared. B, quantum mechanics, which basically is rocket science. And C, the rules of cricket. I don't know, man. That's a tough one. I say it's a toss-up. I want to dissect this photo that I came across. Some woman in BBC wrote an article about how she hated lawns, and she had all these words she was using in the article like ecosystem and growing food and then pollution of lawnmowers and all these, agriculture, agronomics and all this shit in there. And I was thinking, I have IBS? Holy cow. I hate lawns. How can you say that? You picture the kids, in the plush green grass, running through the sprinkler. How can you hate lawns? And believe me, when you try to sell a house, if you have a nice lawn, it increases the value of your home exponentially. And you're not thinking of ergonomics or economics or ecosystems when you're selling. How can you hate lawns? I don't get it. They're beautiful. They increase not only the value of your home, but the value of the neighborhood. But so I read this article and they had this picture of this woman in the 50s. They had to use these stock images, which I hate, but I like this one. And there's this woman in the 50s mowing her own lawn, and she's really cute, pretty with a 50s hairstyle, which was retro, came back in the 80s, that wavy thing, and she's got this fabulous anatomy. I don't know how to say that in a polite term, but she does. But I'm not noticing that at all. First thing I notice is that beautiful green grass. This is what happens when you get up in the years, people. Look at that grass. It's real. Don't get AstroTurf. It's the worst. You know why? Because after about a year, it bubbles. Looks horrible. And it's expensive as all get out. And people put putting greens in their yards out here, and they're awful. And if you think you're going to resell your home with a putting green on it, it's not going to happen. I always wonder this: what about Doggy and Kitty that do their little stuff in the, business, in the yard? What do you do with that? Every time I ask someone who has artificial turf, they have no answer. And it gets so hot, artificial turf. Green grass is where it's at. And here it's got to be Bermuda because it's so hot. I'm sorry. What is wrong? And the second thing I look at that beautiful bronze lawnmower. And the beautiful white engine house. What? I know it's gas and oil, and that's a pain in the ass. Now they have electric, and they're great. But still, it's beautiful. And number 3, and I am aghast about this, look at that pool color. That would be an embarrassment to me. I am telling you, son, if I had a pool color like that in mine, I'd be up at 4 o'clock putting in all the algae fighters that I have, the clarifiers that I have, all the chemical mixes that I have to make that thing look crystal clear, crystalline, like the Gulf of Mexico. Because that's the way I want it to look when I see all the walkers come by at 6 o'clock that morning. I will get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and make sure my pool looks that. And she's doing it in her heels. Now, if I was Hub, I'd be sitting on the porch, smoking a cigar, drinking a cold PBR, and I'd be cheering that woman on and clapping. Now that is my new stripper. She is killing it. Look at her.